Yes, karibuni. Welcome yet again to another episode of the Pitboard Discussions. And I'm your host, Ace the Troubleman himself. And thrilled, more than thrilled. I'm joined here by two fantastic hosts. I'm joined here by guys who love Formula One, guys who love to talk sport. We are here discussing, I know it's been a minute, but we are here to discuss the post-Belgium Grand Prix, Spa-Francorchamps. And we're also here to discuss the season so far in review. Silly season is well up underway na tuko na vitu mingi sana za kudiscuss. So without much further ado, let me introduce you guys. Ama mtaji introduce.
Tuanze na no cap leo.
Tuanze na nani? Mko na intro?
Mimi sina intro. Mimi ni Moshiri. AKA no cap. And niko glad by the tunaenda for a break for hizi nini.
Are you?
Yeah, as much as I like nini kuwatch hizi races, I like taking a break.
He's missed church.
Kanisa ulikuwa na majibu hizi jibu.
There are the things now I have an opportunity to explore some other things.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes,
Also
indeed.
joined by Dan, almost there with my intro, man.
Bro,
Narudi after summer break with a bang of an intro.
it's about time. You have 4 weeks to train your intro. Utako ukipractice kwa shower. The way people sing in the shower, pia una practice intro yako kwa shower.
Yep.
So anyway, guys,
Do you practice?
do I practice? No. Oh, my intro. Check it. Listen, I don't know how you guys will put this in the editing. Like in Iskia Ace, the Troubleman himself, twice as nice, smooth as ice. Never had a bad day in my life.
Now, why are you banging the table like Toto, man?
Because
Chill out.
Because what? Umenipata off guard hapo. But anyway, without much further ado, a quick review of what happened at Spa. So for the guys listening, ama the guys watching this, Spa ilikuwa na sprint. There was a sprint event happening at Spa. So kulikuwa na 2 race events during Spa weekend. During a sprint weekend, the points are actually halfway. Na pia race inakuanga half the distance. Na
It's not half. It's
no,
it's
like
a
yeah,
third.
that's just a vague explanation.
Okay.
Just the technical explanation. Just the listeners, they're not getting the technical.
Yo,
part
no
yet.
cap. What happened, man?
Yeah,
You're
no,
a stats
no,
guy.
call
No,
out.
I get him.
Yeah, so for the listeners and the viewers watching this, a sprint weekend ni mmezoea race ya Formula 1 iko na maybe 40 laps, 50 laps. So during sprint weekend, a race will be something like 20 laps, 23 laps, something like that. And no DRS, by the way. Huko hakuna DRS. For the layman, DRS is like boosting Formula 1. So no DRS.
There was no DRS in the sprint.
No.
It depends. If it's a waitress, then there's no DRS.
Yeah, if it's a West, especially
If I forgot to declare it as
They didn't
was.
forget. They did it intentionally.
So, no, that was qualifying.
Even the sprint.
Even the sprint.
Yeah,
No DRS.
because I remember there's someone who went for the for slicks. I can't remember who, but also the qualies.
The
They also didn't declare it a wet
yeah.
quali because they were leaving room for people to jump on the slicks.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mediums.
Na this is Spa again. Kuna kwanga na an emotional thing ama a catastrophe that happened 3 years ago. There was a crash that involved Anton and Hube. And these are guys when you graduate into Formula 1 na wangekuwa potential drivers on the grid currently. So one of the most proactive guys in terms of remembering these guys is Pierre Gasly from Alpine. Pierre Gasly, I think Hubert was his best friend. Ama they had a really good relationship. And he did some really commendable things on that weekend. Ali rallied the troops. It was raining and he actually rallied the troops to go and, in remembrance of these guys, have a mile run or something like that in remembrance of these guys. And when he was dropping his bouquet in remembrance of these guys, he had left a note on his bouquet. And he said, whatever he will do this season will be for Hubert. I mean, for that race weekend will be for Hubert. And surprisingly, he had a really good sprint performance.
Yeah. Was it P5? What was it?
No. He was in the top 3 in the sprint. He was third. P3.
I just remember him and Checo.
Nah, he was P3 in the sprint.
I know he did well.
Jumped a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really good considering Alpine have been having drama. So should we start with the Alpine drama?
The crushing or the firing of the Nini.
Drama is drama. Listen, we can do it. We can do it anyway.
But at least for this weekend, there was no double DNF.
yeah, and they had points
Yeah.
and good points in the sprint race, especially.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so points is a really good thing for a team like Alpine because again, money. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Money.
But in the grand scheme of things, Alpine are not doing great in the Constructors' Championship. I think it was last year they finished 4th.
Yeah.
And do you know where they are right now?
I know behind McLaren because there have been memes going around. McLaren and Alpine and Alonso.
And I wanted to ask this. Do you think Otmar is to blame solely for Alpine's decline in performance?
So the Alpine, I think it's a story that's still yet to unravel fully. So last year when this new ground effect era came in, their CEO or their former CEO, I think he's called Laurent Rossi or something. You have to say the Laurent with a je ne sais quoi. I remember the guy was like, hey, Alpine, we now have 100 race plan. And basically by the time Alpine is inching closer or getting closer to 100 races, they need to be competing for wins and a championship.
100 races from?
That was since last year.
Since
2022. And now we are 36, 33 races in.
That's 22 from last year and 11 from this
Yeah.
year.
So we are around 33 races in. So we can say a third into the plan. Now to answer your question, I honestly think it's too early, or it was too early to fire Otmar. Because if you're giving someone 100 races to take the team to a position where they can start challenging for wins and championships, you can't fire the person who's stewarding the ship when he's a third into that journey.
Do you think it's a panic firing? Do you think it's one of those situations whereby they're looking at their competition and they're like, we are well off and we need to catch up and we need somebody who can steer this ship around in the soonest time possible?
Yeah, I could say Alpine's current form is also a reason why they let go of the TP. That's Otmar, also their sporting director, who's been with them, I think, for 34 years.
Yeah.
I've forgotten his name. So Aston Martin and McLaren, I can say that the guys who've fueled the recent exits within Alpine. Because last year, Alpine were way ahead of McLaren and Aston.
Yeah.
But this year, Aston Martin started, I think they're the second best team.
And
on the grid,
I don't really want to change the topic just yet, but we will also have to discuss Aston and what's going on with them, because they really did start the year on a high and they plateaued for some reason. And in the plateau, other teams rose above them, and the plateau is now, I don't think it's feasible anymore. It's one of those things whereby, you've gotten a good haul of points, but listen, you need to get the maximum points you can. You don't just give up mid-race or mid-season or whatever. I don't know if it's a problem with the upgrades or whatever, but that's something we will discuss for in a minute. And your thoughts on Alpine and Otmar and the whole saga?
Okay, normally me, I'm a person who likes to observe and analyze something that happens on track. Off track, it's going vile ndani huko, but after he went, Gasly did well almost immediately.
Yeah.
So I can't really connect, and I can't really tell what happens with those teams huko ndani, but it's a decline for Alpine. And the only thing I'm seeing is the memes about Alonso, Piastri, like they don't like Alpine or something, and just having fun with it. So, yeah.
Well, I could throw this in there. Since silly season is well underway, that wasn't the only exit we saw during that weekend. We also saw Ferrari part ways with their race engineer. I mean, with their race director. And his name is Laurent something. I'm not really sure.
That's an interesting coincidence.
And it's not really a coincidence. There is word going around that he's the one primed to take over at Alpine. So
Not Binotto?
Oh
no,
yeah,
he's
but those are the names being thrown around.
Yeah.
Those are the names being thrown around.
The Ferrari guy is supposed to take over at AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Because Franz Tost
Oh,
is
sorry.
living.
Yeah, I mixed the two. Not Alpha Tauri. Not Alpine. Alpha Tauri. I'm sorry about that. I mixed up the two. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are rumors saying that Binotto,
Binotto could be
Plan
back.
B.
Could be back on the grid
I want
in
him back.
2025.
I want him back.
And hopefully we also see the guy from Haas on the grid because he was being taunted by placards. He is the best driver on the grid.
Who's that?
How can
The team principal.
Gunther.
Yeah.
That's a troll.
Yeah, that was a troll. He was being trolled by placards.
Bunch of wankers.
Yeah, he was being trolled, and it's one of those whereby, listen, it's all fun and games, yeah? Formula 1 is a sport. At the end of the day, we're here to have fun. And with that, I wanted to discuss something. What happened to McLaren over the weekend? They had a lot of hot and cold moments.
Yeah. In hindsight, I think they probably they had set up the car wrong for the race on Sunday. Because you could see the car on Friday and Saturday and Sunday it was behaving differently. At one point, you see Piastri fighting in the sprint shootout. You also see Piastri and Norris somewhere in qualifying. Then in the sprint race, you see Piastri somewhere, but Lando is nowhere in the picture.
Yeah.
Then on Sunday, of course, Piastri and Sainz did their thing, turn one. But Lando lost a huge, he lost. I can't remember how many places he lost, but I just remember seeing Lando P17 or something.
Yeah, I don't
behind
know
there.
what happened.
But on the second half of the race, when I think he hopped onto the softs, he was able to gain those positions he lost, and he finished P7. Yeah. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it was just a setup thing. Because remember again, Spa, we had mixed conditions right from Friday.
And that's where it gets challenging.
And there were
for the engineers and the race directors. That's where it gets challenging because you have to come up with the best strategy.
Rather, it was
for the
crazy.
situation.
Yeah.
It's one of those a brain. I don't know what to call it.
And there was no FP1, eh?
Yeah, there was no FP1.
So the engineers didn't have a way of testing.
Wait,
Yeah.
you didn't have FP1? I thought we had the FP1. We had free practice one on Friday. But we only had one practice session.
Yeah,
on
we
Friday.
only had one practice session.
But
Did you guys go out?
Yeah, they did.
No, it started when it started raining. I remember on Friday when it started raining. No, we had FP1 because I remember in FP2 Max and Checo had their cars mixed up because
No, we didn't have FP2.
You didn't have.
I don't know which race you.
We didn't have.
there is a time, and I specifically taunted you, Adiko group. There's a time I taunted you, and I was like, Max, they got the cars mixed up because Checo was outperforming Max, and Max had to pull a rabbit out of the hat.
That was quali.
That was quality.
Q2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably
Q2,
Q2.
not FP2, not free practice, not free
Yeah.
practice.
But it was really tricky for
Yeah.
the teams last weekend because being a sprint race weekend, you have your qualifying on Friday. So you usually don't have your 3 sessions before qualifying to try figure out your car and set it up. So they only had Friday, and which was an hour session to set up that car, not just for the sprint race, not just for qualifying, not just for the sprint shootout, but also the race on Sunday. And it was mixed conditions, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So do you set up your car for a race that's supposed to be dry on Sunday and the current conditions are wet? Like how do you even go about it, man?
Question: Does the rule where you have to start with the tires used in Q2 still apply?
For this weekend?
Yeah. Were they in application?
Qualifying for the race on Sunday?
Yeah.
It was a normal qualifying.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying because there is something in F1. There is a rule.
Wasn't that rule thrown
Yeah,
out?
it hasn't been.
I haven't seen it in effect for a minute
this year.
because there are times I've been seeing guys in Q2 with softs, and come race day I'm seeing guys with hards.
Yeah.
Mercedes, they need the shiny slicks on Sunday. Kuniangalia vibaya bro.
Mr. Oblimey. Yeah, and it's one of those whereby it's a session, an interesting session. Because
there's before I forget, there's something I wanted about the sprint race. What guys do you think about the Hamilton and the Checo incident?
but we aren't there yet.
Oh,
We'll get there.
Sawa.
Don't jump the gun.
I've ever seen that meme, yeah. There's fire and then there's someone who's pouring fuel.
Yeah.
That's no cap.
Yeah. And so interesting qualifying on Friday with the weather conditions making it tricky. And we had a discussion in the space before, and we talked about how Spa, should they push it up a bit, or just schedule it at a time where chances of rain are minimal.
Or
We did have that conversation.
Or use full words.
Or useful. Nah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about an incident that actually happened at Spa early this year. And that was, I think it was one of the World Endurance Championship races. I've forgotten. I think it was either the 12th hour, I've forgotten it was which specific one. But I just remember the Cadillac also had a moment at Eau Rouge, the Kamlima. And it was still the same conditions. So I think it's just a Spa thing. I don't think there's one specific moment or a point in the calendar where it's just dry. Plus, hey, I don't know. I don't want drivers to have it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So either way,
Hey, if they're the best, they're the
listen,
best, man.
We said we love action. You're the guy who was against the action, but we said we love action.
You remember on space you're saying that we can drive when it's wet. I don't know why these drivers can't.
Yeah, and guys, listen. Hey, he
And they
triggered a
have
few
full
guys. He
words.
triggered a few guys, and also the whole commemoration of Akina Hube and all that. Guys were emotional overly, and no disrespect to the dead, but it's just something that happens sometimes, and we don't like seeing it happen.
And
but
and
it
we
happens.
we understand the problem is the spray. It's not it's the spray, and they tried to they tried
It's
to
still not in effect yet.
they tried
still not in
to
effect
they
yet.
tried to put some sort of a mud flap or a mud guard.
Yeah.
But they realized that most of the sprays isn't even coming from the tire. It's coming from
The floor.
From the floor. So they had to redesign. It was a
Back to the
complete
drawing board.
disaster.
So
yeah.
did they
This
do
is
the
where-
test publicly?
This is where these guys
No,
earn
they
They
didn't. They
earn their
didn't even
bucks.
reveal
This
any
is where they earn their
information.
bucks, because now you have to find a solution, and they can't mess up with the flow, because with how the airflow works and the diffuser and everything and the mechanisms involved in airflow and aerodynamics, especially in this era of racing, it's a really big part of racing. You don't really want to touch anything on the floor.
Hey, brother,
The floor is sacred.
They shouldn't touch the floor.
So the
Toto already played that card, man.
so
And Ferrari paid dearly.
if
We
you
will
are
talk about Ferrari. Yeah,
if you are near the rear the back of the car, if you are very close, the spray will go above you. But if you are like a normal distance, it will be sprayed. It's funny.
What is very close? Is it a second? Is it 2 seconds? Is it 3?
Like a meter.
Hey, my G.
That's 100th of a second.
hey, a meter.
In Formula 1 terms, a meter is 100th of a second.
Like closeness.
Yeah, that's 100th
A
of a
meter
second.
is so damn close, man.
I know it's
Maybe-
it's very
Yeah,
close.
Maybe in
that's
Park
100.
Farm, but on the track, hey.
Can be.
Yeah.
Anyway, come Saturday, there were really interesting things happening with the sprint situation. So we had the shootout at around 12. Nothing interesting at the shootout for getting places, but come sprint race, there was a lot to talk about. And listen, I have to start with this. As a Ferrari guy, Carlos Sainz's move on, what's his name?
On who?
You're wearing his hat, come on.
Checo?
Yeah. Carlos Sainz's move on Checo at Eau Rouge.
I have selective amnesia. I don't remember that.
You don't?
Even me, I don't remember
So please,
that.
Mr. Editor, play that clip for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it the first lap?
No, it was a few laps in. Where Checo lost like 4 places at once.
But bro, Checo had damage. Was this before he and Hamilton had a tangle?
damage, yeah,
Or-
yeah.
It was that.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
You can't be out here boasting at
Come on.
you.
No, it was a good move. Come on, listen. If it's good, it's good. It was
You
a
knocked
good move.
someone out and you knocked someone who's disabled.
It's like Checo-
Sainz
it's like
wasn't
Checo-
responsible for his damage.
Wait, hey.
it's-
Sainz wasn't responsible for his damage. He had damage of his own come race day, but he wasn't responsible for that specific damage. And Hamilton went on to serve, I think, a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Do you think it was fair?
Hey, listen, anytime I mention Hamilton, kuna watu wanakujanga kwa comments zangu kwanza. Hey, wewe, you lay off Hamilton, you know. Sijui, oh, Hamilton got this, got that, sijui.
No, just say it was fair.
Was it fair?
Yeah.
Was the penalty fair?
Listen, it happens. Yeah, it was fair.
Yeah.
To me, it was like, it wasn't harsh. Okay, guys could argue it's harsh, but to me it was like, it's a normal racing thing, and that penalty was like, you know, yeah,
Yep.
happens. Because if it was Sainz, nobody would be talking about it. But now because it's Hamilton,
So, there's the cult.
everybody wants to talk
behind
about
the
it. But
camera,
listen,
who's the high
it's-
priest?
Huh?
Did you? But they did
Everybody
you,
wants to analyze every frame. No, what did you expect him to do? How did you expect him to move? Bro, it's racing. Racing happens. And when you make a mistake in racing, that mistake will cost your opponent his life. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
So, listen, just serve the penalty. It's not a big deal.
And-
It's just 5 seconds.
And it's clear cut. Checo was ahead.
And Checo's ahead.
You
You can draw racing lines all you want, but at the end of the day, it was a racing incident where he had to serve a penalty.
Yeah.
It wasn't harsh. It's just one of those. Serve the penalty, move on, and
Yeah.
try again on Sunday.
And cult people forget that Hamilton is like any other driver.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes like any other driver.
Yeah.
And I think, did we discuss this in the space where I was saying it is, when we are looking at these drivers, what separates? Oh, it was in the WhatsApp group. What separates drivers like Hamilton and Schumacher, the greats, is that they win.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they don't do other mistakes or silly mistakes. There's this player from NBA called Harden. He visits strip clubs and it's very public. And everybody, everybody is okay with it because he's scoring. But when he's not performing,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
It happens. It happens.
So long as you're winning, you can do whatever you want.
And listen, hey, we could talk about it all day, but at the end of the day, it's racing, and all rules of racing apply to every driver.
Yeah.
He's not special in any kind of way. Yes, he is special, he's talented, but he's not like special from the rest of the guys in the grid. He's like, if you serve this penalty because of this, you also can serve this penalty because of this.
Hey, there's someone who did a compilation. Sorry. Of all the crashes that Hamilton has been involved in. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
I saw the one,
You'll have to share it.
how many bulls he has taken out.
It's a video. I've seen that video
It's
too.
the same goddamn move.
Yes.
Being too ambitious, going in the inside and you T-bone someone.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous thing.
Watu wa cult, msinikujie, ni mtu
As-
wenu ndo ako hivi.
Ask
But-
Albon has experienced it firsthand.
My G, I've never forgiven Hamilton for taking out Albon.
Albono.
Okay, where in what is Austria?
When
The
you ask-
Austria or
Nah,
in-
yeah,
or in
wait.
Brazil?
When you ask the where, it means it's happened more than once.
Hey, okay, we are not mentioning the Silverstone one.
Bro, and I'm going to call my therapist. You guys almost killed Max, man.
Bro, what was it? 51 Gs?
I don't know.
The crash was 51 Gs, I think. It was 51 Gs. It was some absurd number. And for context, for the listeners and the viewers, context, 1 G is, let me just use layman terms. When you jump up, when you come down, that's 1 G. Now imagine 51 Gs of force. Crashing with that type of force. That's crazy.
The alarm,
That's crazy.
the FIA, whatever triggers the not the ambulance. What is the other than the safety car? The other one, the medical car.
Mhm.
I think it is like 20 Gs.
What do you mean?
When there's a crash and they want to know whether to bring out the
Oh,
The medical
the
car,
line. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. They're like, if it's 20 Gs and above, they're like, hey, bring the ambulance.
yeah, not the ambulance, the
I mean,
medical
the
car.
medical car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we even Red Bull had to write off that car, man.
Yeah, you had to.
Inauma.
It
Even
cost
the
you, how
steering
much
wheel.
did it cost you? It cost you a lot of money. I remember it was in millions. And that's millions that could have been put into development somewhere else.
Hey,
Bro.
wait, yeah.
Just chill.
Wait, I
Take a minute.
just wanted to say, it's never good when we go back to visit 2021.
Yeah.
One hell of a season.
Yeah, but do you guys think that crash would have changed the outcome of the 2021 season?
What do you mean?
When there's a difference of 1 point in the championship, every race could have changed.
Hold up. Come, re-ask your question, please.
Do you think I don't want to throw Hamilton inside there, But do you think Max being taken out, at Silverstone in the 2021 championship, do you think that particular incident and Max not finishing the race would have changed the outcome of the 2021 season?
That's a big what if, because
Yes.
that's
Even if he finished P2.
that's a fork of a question, because a lot of going into AD21, those guys were tied on points to the 0.5.
Yeah.
Because there's a time kulikuwa na 0.5 points given somewhere. So they were tied
It was crazy, man.
they were tied to the 0.5. So all the events that happened prior were really essential to AD21 being as magnanimous as it was. You know, it couldn't just be AD21 without everything that had happened prior. Like going to the final race tied on points. I don't think I've ever watched a season whereby drivers are going to the last race tied on points.
Yeah, that was really close, man.
That's
I think it was Hamilton from the future
in-
who drove that car in Silverstone 21.
But hey,
I have my tinfoil hat.
whatever happened. AD21, that's an episode for another day. Tukishinda hapo tukaishia hapo. So we move on straight to the hell of a drive that Oscar Piastri, aka the rookie, had.
Ooh.
Oscar had one hell of a race. Come Spa sprint.
Yep.
He had, listen, give flowers. I'm giving him flowers. And you talked about it in the group when we were talking, and you said something like, it's just a matter of time before Oscar one-ups Lando.
Yep.
Based on the times these guys were producing, come qualifying and the sprint shootout, we did see more from Oscar compared to Lando, and we were discussing it, and we were like, look, Oscar looks on fire today, and like,
Yeah.
I mean, something's
on
up.
point.
And during the sprint shootout, he actually qualified for pole for the front row.
Yep.
Before
Max
Max came put in a belter.
Actually, he was ahead going into the last corner.
Yeah.
Like the side-by-side comparison. Max beat him to the finishing line.
Max the heartbreaker.
Yeah. And it's
You saw that picture when Piastri was doing this?
so close. Yeah, he did post it on his socials, and McLaren actually reposted it.
Yeah,
McLaren
it was that
reposted
close.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oscar had a great drive, and it was so sad to watch him getting taken out by my man.
Your boy.
So
Yeah.
was Sainz at
Our
fault? in
Indian
that?
driver.
Was Sainz at fault?
Hey, bro. Today.
No. What do you mean was he at fault?
So you said you have
Let me
he
quote
was
Sainz
he was
again.
taken out by Sainz.
Let me quote Sainz again. Sainz said,
No. Let them wait for me.
Nah. This is what Sainz said, yeah? Sainz was like, listen, I've driven here for a very long time. I'm very experienced. Yeah, these are shots, underneath shots. This is NATO low blows. I've been here for a very long time. I've driven at Spa for like 8 years. Yeah. And in the 8 years I've been here, whatever he was trying, I've tried it before and it doesn't work. That move does not work. Yeah. And Sainz basically told Piastri the move he was trying to pull off was a rookie move. Yeah. It doesn't work. And listen, I don't know where you guys watched the race from, but I wasn't at home, so I had to watch it from a stream. And I was watching a Sky stream. And after the stream, they reviewed the incident again, frame per frame, and they viewed the both angles. They showed from both point of views.
Who was at fault?
The Piastri point of view and the Sainz point of view. So and you can watch it again if you want to watch it again.
I've watched it several times.
I don't think Sainz can really be faulted because there was a lockup somewhere in there. And yes, Oscar was just trying to get to the space that was available or afforded to him. And Sainz was trying to pull out of a move, but there was a lockup. Because the two drivers up front walikuwa neck and neck. And when these guys were going into turn one, and you know how turn one of Spa looks, going into turn one, it's a really acute one. Going into turn one, Sainz was trying to pull out of the move so that every car can get some space. Yeah. Then he had a lockup that I could call it an understeer to some degree. But the lockup, Lando saw him too late.
Oscar.
PS3.
Yeah, I mean Oscar. Oscar saw him too late, and the tires ended up touching, and
I don't think so,
It
right?
all
So
happened.
what do you think? Is it a racing incident?
Yeah, it's a racing incident.
Okay.
And it's something we've seen a lot, especially at Spa. That first time.
Yeah, okay. Is it a racing incident?
I think Carlos. Okay, so Carlos first of all didn't see Oscar,
Yeah, didn't see.
but Carlos moved abruptly. Because remember, it was Hamilton who was next to Carlos, and by the time Carlos was forcing Piastri into the wall, Carlos actually had a huge gap on the left to Hamilton. So I don't know why Carlos just decided to suddenly turn in. Because think about it. By the time Oscar is thinking, okay, my car can actually fit in here, he knows clearly that if Carlos decides to stay on his lane, Oscar will be able to make a pass.
There was that abrupt move to the left.
From
And
Carlos to the left. And
that's what I'm saying. Carlos tried to pull out of a move, yeah? And when he tried to pull out of a move, he had a lockup that actually led to the events happening as they happened. And listen, I'm not trying to defend him and saying he was all right, but neither was he all wrong. Again, it's racing. For me to give you a space, it's my choice. I can decide to listen. We are racing. If I leave space, if I see you have space to overtake me, I can decide to defend that space.
What did Senna say?
What did he say?
If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a
You're no
racing
longer-
driver.
yeah, no
Yeah.
longer racing.
Exactly.
Even Hamilton actually said
But-
that
but
after he
you know-
crashed with Checo.
But there's a crazy double standard. When Max does the same thing, what were called? Oh, Max, oh, Max, oh, Max.
We
he
have
needs
to
grow
talk
up.
about it.
Oh, Max, oh, Max, oh, Max.
So yeah, listen. So it was an I think we're done with the sprint, the sprint coverage. Yeah, I mean you had some add-on on the sprint.
Actually, we are talking about the race. That incident of Piastri and Nani.
I know
Sainz
it's
is in
the race.
yeah.
I'm just asking you before we move on to the race incidents.
Unless it comes up.
Okay. So yeah, whatever happened, and it's one of those whereby it's a racing incident, and I felt for Oscar because he had a wild Saturday. It's a really impressive Saturday for him, and I know he was actually eyeing a podium finish in Spa. Come race day.
But going back to what you said, that turn one at Nini, can three cars fit in that corner?
I think we did this before. We've had a moment whereby the three of us have participated in Spa racing, courtesy of you. We participated in Spa, and you know how that turn one is from experience. I'm not just saying to say it. From experience. You can claim to have driven at Spa. It's a simulation, yes, but you've driven at Spa, and you know how that turn one is.
Yeah.
From your point of view, in a racing situation, because in racing you're trying to get the best times possible, do you think three cars can fit there?
Okay, personally, I don't think one car has the one on the left has to go outside the track.
Yeah.
For
And that's
for
more
it to
distance
fit.
covered, meaning you're going to need to recover it somewhere.
So
Do you think three cars can fit?
2 cars, but the third car, 2 tires have to be on the track. Just like Mushiri said,
Yeah.
it's a tight turn, and if you're the person who's on the innermost line, your cornering radius it has to be wider. You can't tighten it enough.
Yeah.
So you'll just end up
Your
you'll
exit
push.
will end up you'll be
Yeah.
ending up with the track limits.
Yeah. So
you'll
you'll push the 2 people to your left.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
Unless you are on the faster, ama the guys on the outside were slower than you, tena umeingia hiyo kona mapema, like you'll have a chance ya kuhepa.
Hey, but still it's
Yeah,
still tricky.
that's just a scenario, but it's still, that turn is very tricky. Just watch the racing highlights of Spa in previous years, and that's a very tricky turn. Haikuangi jokes. That's a really
not
tricky one.
trickier than the last chicane.
Bro, don't give me PTSD. That last chicane gave me problems. That last chicane. But yeah, that's a story for another day. So anyway, come race day. Max had a good race, obviously. But,
Starting from?
But there's something I had predicted, and I told you guys about it during our predictions, yeah? I told you guys there will be a Ferrari podium. Yeah, bro. What do you mean you did?
You did, Yani.
What do you mean you did? That's what I'm asking.
Predicted the
Oh,
Ferrari
yeah.
podium.
I thought he was trying to, poke buttons, and you're like, Ferrari actually got up. No, we actually.
I know you did.
Yeah. I had said Leclerc third or second.
Wait, Podium for Sunday.
for Spa. Yeah, the Max, Leclerc, and Checo.
Oh yeah, I remember the
Hey,
podcast.
you have to say it in order, man.
I remember. I
Say
remember
it in
the
order.
podcast.
Max.
Leclerc, Checo, Max.
Yeah. That's
Leclerc.
that's from P3.
Anyway, Leclerc had pole, courtesy of a Max penalty.
We are not, let's not go into how many.
No, hey, listen,
Times
check it,
We'll
listen.
bust your
Our,
bubble,
started
man.
from-
our
Don't
pole,
try us.
listen, our pole haikugeuka kukua pole like somebody's pole at Hungary. When I get some, as we got
It
a
did-
podium finish. Listen,
How many corners? It was on the Camel Street. He was overtaken on the
Hey,
Camel
Checo.
Street.
Checo gave him the Hamilton treatment.
now listen to this. I have to talk about this. When Max overtook Checo, when was this? Turn 17? I mean, lap 17.
17, yeah.
That's when
How is it possible, Max, to end the race 20 seconds ahead of Checo?
It's simple.
Somebody with the same machinery.
It's simple.
How?
It's simple. Two drivers can never drive the same.
yeah, and also set up.
we
Also
need
set
to
up.
talk
Truly,
about
wait,
Max's car.
wait. Two drivers can never drive the same. Two drivers, to get the best lap time, they just because they drive differently, it means they need to have different setups on the car. Max and Checo, if you even just analyze how they take corners or even how they're braking, very different. You can't put them on the same setup. Someone is going to suffer somewhere.
I
Now,
don't mean
wait,
to
wait,
interject.
wait,
no.
wait.
This is something for the viewer. The listener or the viewer. So, okay, just finish. We'll talk about the setups later.
Now, if you look at the times, Max was hitting the same. He had a target to hit. I think it was 148 or something, somewhere there. Max was hitting 148, 149, 147.
Was this target
148.
given to him by his GP?
Yeah. 148. He was just hitting the 148, 148, 148. Look at Checo's time. I think it was either 148 or 147, somewhere there. But if you look at Checo and all the other drivers, apart from Lando, because also Lando's also doing the same thing. The other drivers, their times are all over the place. They're either 2 seconds quicker,
Oh, okay.
or that they are maybe half a second quicker, or maybe they are 1 second slower. And if you do that for a stint of, let's say, 20 laps, it's going to count for something at the end.
Yeah.
Max was faster, 0.8, above 0.8 every lap. And that's how it ended up being the huge gap at the end of the race. Because he was just doing better times and
I
he was
mean,
more
he had such a
consistent.
huge gap. He
that's
was
simple.
confident enough. He was like, "Yo, can I pit for I don't know, pit stop practice?"
Max is a
That's how
joker.
confident. That's how confident he was, and it's one of those. And I was like, "Yo, bro, Max, are you trolling us?"
Okay, coming back to the putting the same lap times. That is one of the way you can either know a good driver,
Yeah.
even if it's the time is low. If this driver can be able to put almost the same amount of time every lap,
Means consistency.
yeah,
And we
that-
talked about
that
it
is a
last-
good driver.
We talked about it on our last episode. We talked about how consistency is hard to achieve.
Hey,
Consistency isn't something easily achievable. Nah.
Red Bull is
Listen,
achieving consistency right now.
at the moment, listen, the jury is still out on that. We'll know
What do you
once he
mean?
once he breaks the consistency
mean?
record that currently stands for Max.
But
finishing
but
P1?
the
No.
team I'm talking
Finishing P1
Oh.
9 times in a row. That's the record.
I'm talking about
Let me finish.
the team. We broke a record, man.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's consistency.
Hey, listen, I have to give it to you.
Also no cap, yeah.
Yeah, you remember I'm here on loan.
No. Go far away, man.
I'm here on loan. I'm a Red Bull fan on
No,
loan.
you after Charles got a podium, you ran away.
Nah, I didn't run away. Listen, I have to celebrate my guys.
But
What do you
they-
mean?
No, you
I
have to
ce-
pick. You can't celebrate Charles' podium and then
What do you mean I
Yeah.
can't celebrate Charles? I can do it.
Yeah,
Hey,
brother.
bro,
That's double
I can
speak.
celebrate this guy.
That's double speak.
Anyway,
Hey,
so
and we have done in
Lem-
red today. I don't know.
yeah, he's a
what's
blood.
up? What's up?
Hey,
Suwo
I
gang.
told you if Max
no,
and
wait.
Checo, if there's a
Suwo
double
gang.
podium,
Yeah.
I have
Suwo
to
gang.
wear something. No, wait, bro. We are not going to get cancelled here. Man.
So whoa, yeah, no gang signs. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, either way, I wanted to talk about something when you mentioned it because it's a term we've thrown in a lot, and it's car setups. And I just wanted to say something for the viewer or the listener because this is something they hear probably and they don't understand. So there is something called car setups or engine mapping. And engine mapping is when engines are tuned, or the ECU is tuned to suit certain conditions or situations. So every driver has their own driving style, like you said, and the car responds differently to different approaches or how you operate it. There are guys who are smooth with it, like Carlos. The guys who are very aggressive with it, like Max. So ladies decide. The ladies are the cars. So the computer guys wanakuja wana connect ECU na blah blah blah. Then they map everything out and they're like, okay, listen, we notice you accelerate more when you're exiting an acute turn, or you are accelerating less going into a turn. A lot of things, a lot of factors in play. Yeah. So all those things, all those factors are taken into consideration. And once they're taken into consideration, they map out the engine for you for best optimal performance, or for optimal performance of your car. Yeah. And that's why kuna kwangana qualification, kuna a lot of engine modes, a lot of setups, kuna qualification setups where you're trying to get the fastest lap possible for one lap.
Where I've seen a good example of where the car setup is bringing a lot of differences in Mercedes.
Yeah.
Because George is a fast driver, so is Hamilton.
Yeah.
But Hamilton seems to be comfortable with a bit less downforce.
Mm-hmm.
Even like in Spa, he was like in sector 1, he was setting purple. Even the top speed in sector 1 at the Carmen Street, he was having very high speeds. But he suffered a bit in sector 2 and regain. So it's even the driver will choose like which area do you want to maximize, or which one are you comfortable with, so you can go to with maybe in case of Spa to gain your time in sector 2. Like McLarens were gaining their time in sector 2, losing it in sector 1 and sector 3. But for Hamilton, he was gaining it in sector 1 and sector 3, losing in sector 2. So it all depends on where you're comfortable at. Where do you think your strong points, or where do you think you'll gain most time depending on the setup? So you try to do a compromise. Of course, you can never be okay. Red Bull can be fast in all the sectors.
Come on. Come on.
But you need to set your car in a way that it will suit you and also the track which you are in.
And that's not the only variable to get the fastest car. There is something that you actually mentioned, and I think a lot of guys misquote it or misuse the word and the term, something called tire deg. It's a really big factor. Care to explain to the listeners and the viewers what tire deg is?
So tire deg means tire degradation, in full. And it's basically when the tires lose performance when they exceed a certain thermal limit or threshold. So for example, if your tires overheat, the tires actually lose grip. And that means you are lapping slower. Yeah. It's usually confused with the term tire wear. And tire wear is where the compound, the rubber compound on the tire, it actually disintegrates or it tears apart.
Okay.
And both of them contribute highly to slower lap times, and also the confidence of the drivers. So sometimes when you hear a car is suffering from tire deg, it's not that they are chewing through their tires, or their tires are being ripped open, but it's because the tires are too hot and they're losing performance. Yeah.
So to the listener, tire wear is actually the wearing of the tire, and tire deg is actual thermal optimization of the tire. And performance, remember these tires are warmed for best performance. They need warm tires so that they can, they get the best out of them. And so when you hear the term tire deg, it doesn't mean the wearing of the tires. It's actually more to do with, it's either losing performance because it's not optimizing the heat properly, the conductivity is off and everything. A lot of factors into play there. But it's to do with thermal optimization. That was a really good one. That was a really good point when you brought it up in the first place.
Hey.
And hey, listen, we're here to learn again, yeah? So, on to the next segment of the show today. And let's try and keep it brief. So, we are halfway through the season. And I won't ask you our customary drive of the day, team of the day. No. I'll go a bit further. I'll ask you driver of the season so far. Give me your top 3. Driver of the season. Team of the season, your top 3.
Driver of the season so far.
Yeah, driver of the season so far, team of the season so far. And melon of the season so far. We have to talk about the melons. Come on, we need to talk about the melons.
So
So,
going fast.
who wants to kick us off? Moshiri, Mr. No Cap.
As I've said this before, okay. First of all, for number one, it's tied.
Mhm.
I always tie them because I can't really differentiate. Can't pull apart Max and
Checo.
Hamilton
Oh, Hamilton.
in terms of how they have been performing. Because Max has been doing Max thing, trying to be 100%, getting the maximum points every weekend.
Mm.
We have seen that even pitting for the fastest lap,
Mhm.
even if he's leading. So he's trying to do 100%.
Yeah.
Where did he lose pole? Was it on Hungary?
Yeah, he got pole in Hungary, then turn four. He was
No,
out.
he started second.
No, he started pole in Hungary. Pole 104. Are you forgetting?
No, I'm
he's-
saying
he's
Max.
referring to Max. He started
Oh,
second,
Max.
yeah.
You're talking
Yeah.
about Max. I thought you were talking
So
about Hamilton.
him actually missing out on that Nini, something he could have gone. It made him mad.
Nah, man,
So Max is in a class of his own.
this season.
Yes, getting 100 points. The other
This
guy
season.
is Hamilton so far, season so far.
Yeah.
Hamilton. I think what Hamilton has been doing with that Mercedes is making sure you have the maximum points you can get in that race. It doesn't without the Red Bull, because beating Red Bull is a bit hard.
No.
So he's not involved in some mistakes. In fact, there are only 3 drivers: Hamilton, Alonso, and Max, who have completed every lap of all the races so far this season.
Oh, okay.
Only those 3 drivers have done 100%. They have
That's an
like the
interesting
checkered
one.
flag.
Yeah.
Mm. But my boy Alonso went into
Yeah,
into
that's
gravel
that's
last
the other
weekend.
thing. at number 3, since the tied, Alonso. I could have put Alonso there,
Mhm.
but Alonso, I don't know what is happening. Aston Martin, I don't know if you have.
He's been on a downward spiral since Canada.
Yeah, I don't know what has been happening there.
Ah.
So I'll put him there because most of the races he was performing really well and he had consistency. So I'll put him at
Listen.
number 3. But it's on notice. that number 3.
I'd have vouched for them to go and fix their car during the break. But as we know, it's mandatory to take a break in F1. Once they find you working during holidays, you'll actually get fined for that. So, wow, some good jobs out here. McLaren, my submission. Anyway,
My 2 teams.
your
So
drive
far.
of the day. I mean, your drive of the season.
Hey, Max.
So far.
Max.
Bruh, the same old song.
No. You know, I'll always say this. After 21, there's something that fundamentally changed in Max.
Yeah. Actually, he said he wanted to win every race in 22. He was setting out to win every race in 22.
Do you think
20,
maturity crept in?
I-
Can we call it maturity?
no,
And I don't
There's-
mean it in a sense that Max was immature. I just mean it in a sense that he is a better analyzer of situations.
I'd say racing up to 2021 was actually preparing Max for the type of Max
We're seeing
we're
currently.
seeing today.
Yeah.
Because remember when he joined Toro Rosso, then Red Bull, he made a couple of mistakes. And yeah, granted, he was a rookie or he was still young or fresh into the game. But to fight with the greats, you have to make mistakes. You have to acknowledge that you made mistakes and you have to strive to be better. And since Max joined, if you look at 2021 and 2020, I'd say 2021 Max was a bit different. Not that because Red Bull now finally knew that now we have a good car and we can actually challenge for the championship. But this was just Max not making the same mistakes that he was making. Yes, you'd argue 21 he made a couple of mistakes, but it was in the heat of the moment, fighting.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And listen,
And
Max is a star right now. And
I'll answer your question.
yeah.
And we have discussed this before. We said that whenever a driver has the fastest car, the so-called maturity kicks in because you know the championship is yours for the taking. It's only you who can lose it.
Yep, you have more to lose.
And yeah, it's your championship to lose. And when you're in that
So,
position,
calmer heads prevail.
Hmm?
Calmer heads start to prevail once
Yeah.
you have the faster car.
once you get the fastest car, You stop
Hey,
all that.
listen, at the end of the day, they do say diamonds are formed under pressure. And Max has been pressurized for a minute before he won his first title. And after winning his first title, listen, he became a diamond. And he's been that all through. So listen, kudos. And granted, I understand why he is he is taking a top spot. So who comes in second place and third place?
Hamilton.
Okay.
And Mushiri has been saying this thing for quite some time. Hamilton has always been maximizing weekends. Yes, they don't have the best car on the grid, but they have a better car than other people.
Shades of
they have a better car
Silverstone, bro. This guy tapped in that podium.
They have a better car than they actually seem
they
to.
do.
Yeah.
No, vile wanateta sana, but they actually need. Even
listen,
Lando said
if you've been dominating for 7-8 years and listen, for some reason you're not getting the results, you have to tell your fans something to, not keep them so. So Hamilton in second place, third?
Yeah. Third.
PS3.
Yeah, third I'm going to give it to Piastri.
Is this recency bias I'm sensing?
No.
Okay.
Remember I said from day one, when Piastri hopped onto that vehicle, he was matching Lando.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lando is really good. So so if you have a rookie,
Lando Norwich is a really good driver, by the way.
He's a racer. He's a real racer.
Yeah. So if you have a
Still
rookie
knows.
who's matching your experienced driver, the day that rookie will have a proper car, or once they come to grips, then it's game shot. And that's why I was very comfortable even saying I can't wait for the day Oscar will one up Lando.
So are you?
Makes sense.
Do you think the McLaren? So it could be Lando or Nani might take a win this for the rest of the 10 races. Or if
I'd put
there
a
could be a
wager-
McLaren
I'd
win, who
put a
will be on the
wager.
top? PS3 or
Who is giving McLaren their first win?
Are we have to say explicitly, we are removing Red Bull from this conversation.
that is
Both
if
Checo
Red
and Max.
if they DNF if they DNF.
Now listen, Checo could be in there, but listen, Max.
I think Lando has a better chance of bringing that podium or that win home. And my reason is,
Yeah.
as much as Piastri, yes, is really good, he still has some things he needs to work on. One of them is tire management. Just look at Spa. Max even predicted that after the safety car restart during sprint race, I'm just going to get him. His tires are not good.
Yes.
That, but
And
that's what was in his
we-
head.
I was like,
We-
look
Side
at
note-
he's been drifting all over the place.
Side note, we need to talk about this. The Max, and not talk about it, we just have to mention it because it's a worthy mention. Max and his GP.
Their
Yeah.
relationship.
The
Their
back and forth.
relationship, the back and forth. And, it's really something interesting to go with. So just go listen to the radio communication between Max and his GP at,
Me, I think I
at
need
Spa
that.
2023.
I
And,
think I need
it's really
that.
something interesting to watch and see because listen, there are some box office comments made there. There were some shots fired, and there was a little bit of, how do I put it? Somebody trying to put their foot down over the other.
I think I need a GP in my life actually.
Why? You need someone to tell you to use your head.
I need
Listen,
somebody.
it's one of those. It's one of those, boys and their toys. It's one of those. So either way, it was just by the way. So Lewis, Max, and Lando.
No, and Oscar.
Oscar, I mean.
Yeah. What about you?
Sorry.
man?
Me, well, my drive of the season so far has been, I have to give it to Darth Vader himself. Alonso has been my drive of the season so far. And I say this, and when I say this, I have this feeling in me where I'm like, I feel like I'm betraying Seb because Seb is my goat. I've said it more than once. Seb is my goat.
Yep.
And seeing Alonso outperform Seb for Aston Martin, I'm like, because
brother,
listen,
the cars were different.
Listen,
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying as a fan. This is not the
Like-
things I'm
like-
taking into account. This is my feelings on
like
this.
Alonso getting a podium with Aston Martin.
Seb did that first. So anyway,
Oh, Seb was on a podium.
bruh, he dragged that tractor to the podiums. Anyway, I'm just saying it's one of those, and I've seen how Aston Martin have become a better team overall with Fernando's inclusion this season, and I can't not take that into account, if you get what I mean. I have to take
that's
that into
number one.
account. He's had very good races. And he actually, at some point this season, he was actually, tailing the Bulls. And case in point, Monaco 2023, he was always in the picture. And it was really interesting to see him bring the challenge to those guys. And also, hey, listen, I'm a man who loves some salt. I love his post comments, his race comments, the tantrums, and the whatever he does on the grid. He's that guy. Keeps us entertained.
Do you know what? Okay, I don't know if this is appropriate, but what, like, I find it so unexpected of Alonso, or something I didn't expect, is the photos he takes with those Aston Martin girls.
Oh yeah, I called it one time, and you guys didn't really talk about it. But listen, we're not here to talk about that. That's, if you want to go look it up yourself.
Guys,
go
you
look
love
it up.
bedroom matters.
What do you mean, you guys?
During his birthday.
Hey, stop looking at me.
What do you mean, you guys? Bruh.
Speaking of, there's been an update
want-
with Shakira.
Nah. We won't talk about that. Hey, that's a special episode for another. We'll do that on the spaces.
You're number 2, man.
My number 2, I think I give Yuki some credit.
Yuki.
Some credit. The maturity is shown. We are talking about the guys up top, but we are forgetting the guys in the midfield. And
Yeah.
the guys in the midfield could also be up top if they had cars that could perform as well as the cars that are performing up top. So I love to consider guys like Yuki and seeing how they've improved over the years, and seeing the driver he is currently and how well he performs. I think I'd give him my second spot. Then in third spot, yeah, I'll give Lando the spot.
Third spot.
I'll give Lando the third spot because Lando has been that one consistent factor at McLaren. Whether the car is good or bad, he's trying to do his best and he's giving the best and he's squeezing points from that car. When it was bad, right now it's a good car. When it was bad, he was squeezing points out of that car. Now that it's good, you see what it's made of.
Hey, you're not giving any Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't.
Bro. So listen, yeah, that's my
It's all good.
drivers of the day. So for the teams, I think we can only do one-offs because teams are only 10, and we just need to hear the best one so that we can have the worst one for Melon of the day.
I don't think. I think
Melon
it's
of
an
the-
unanimous decision about the team of the.
Okay, Melon, because I was also going to give it to Red. No, I was going to give it to Aston.
Melon.
No,
No.
team of the
Team.
season so far.
All right.
For me, I was
For
giving
me,
it to Aston.
for me, it's Red Bull.
Yeah,
and
it's
we are still going to do some more special things this year, man. Watch out for more records being broken.
Okay, so Melon of the season so far as we wrap it up.
Driver or team?
Team. No, it could be either. It could be any. Just for you, the guys who just messed up and they were clueless.
Alfa Romeo for me. They have been nowhere from day one, and we are mid-season. They are still nowhere.
Yeah, true. They've been nowhere. Hey, but hey, Joe had a good performance.
Where?
This Hungary, was it Hungary or Spa?
Taking out both Alpines and Ricardo.
Okay, fair point.
He started fifth. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
Starting
fifth.
P5 doesn't give you points,
Yeah,
man.
and then after that,
it all downhill.
yeah,
So you?
melon of the season.
Who's your melon of the season?
Nothing comes to my mind except the as you guys are saying about what's the name of that team? Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo.
Yeah,
Well, I have one.
I can't find any other name because if I look at maybe the other close would be Alpine.
Ooh, the big a good shout.
Yeah, Alpine is coming very close to that because of most of those double DNFs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So personally, my melon of the season so far are Ferrari, and I can explain why. Based off last season,
I didn't see that coming.
yeah, you couldn't have. Based off last season, they were second, and
Purposing.
yeah, with all factors in play, they were second, and seeing them drop off as much as they have currently into what is it now?
And the constructors.
Fourth.
They're
Yeah,
behind.
fourth, behind Aston.
Aston by like I don't know 9 points.
Okay.
Very small points. We'll get them. But anyway, fourth, bro.
It's actually 5 points.
5 points, yeah, you see? Very small points. Like, that's
one race.
one race.
Done.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those, I'm like, what were you guys doing? Like, when these guys are developing their cars and the guys are catching up and developing their cars too, why are you guys regressing? It's a regressing factor for me.
But brother, you guys were saying it's Binotto, now he's out. Now you have Fred.
Nah,
What's your excuse, man?
I did go on record. I won't say I'm the only guy, but a lot of guys who understand Ferrari and how it works and the working around of the car and how they operate and everything. We do know the politics involved and how a lot of the media, it's a thing that only affects the big teams. So the media and everything just screws with everything because, guys, everybody's now an expert. Suddenly everybody's an expert. Instead of you guys, burying your head into the sun and not burying your head into the sun, but, working
Keeping
out.
your head down and-
keeping your head down and working and trying to get everything done. You're now trying to blame somebody else. You're like, no, you're to blame and you're to blame. And I talked about it a few episodes ago and I said, listen, Fred isn't afraid to cut guys off. And we've been seeing it happen. A lot of guys have been leaving Ferrari this year. And it's one of those, I think Fred is in a transition moment whereby he's trying to make the team his. And he will bounce back from it. I expect him to. So for me, they are my melon of the season so far because they have regressed instead of progressing. But sometimes, hey, listen, you need to take a step back for you to move forward. So a word of advice for me
That's hope. Yeah.
before we tell you adios. Any final words you guys wanna say? Because we also need to go on vacation. F1 is on vacation.
And people need to go on this summer break.
But hey, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll bring you content. We'll find things to bring you.
Yeah.
We'll find things to bring you. We'll talk about more. We'll have an episode on tires specifically. There are things to talk about. And if you want more, you can catch us on Thursdays, Twitter Spaces. We have Spaces every Thursday. We have a WhatsApp group if you want to join. Follow us, DM us, whatever. You can join the group. And, like, share, subscribe. Do whatever you have to do to keep us up. Yeah. We love the support and everything. And they love the guys who show love. And that's it from us, yeah?
Yep.
Peace.
Yeah.